Well, here we are. This is June 28th, the last class of the month in 2024. And this is Alchemical Rede. And I'm Robert.
And I'm Suzanne, and we're Clarity.
I'm Sandra. I'm Suzanne. And I'm Christina.
Okay, and there we have it. Let me make sure the volume is up a little better.
Okay.
There we go. And we are good to go. All right. So, welcome to the class.
And I'm so grateful this has been one of the most glorious, beautiful,
it's been
comfortable,
stunningly gorgeous
magical day.
Truly.
The weather here in Maine is just superb today.
It's superb.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And we've been outside all morning. We've even, prepared a lot of the class outside in the garden, and that has been just phenomenally wonderful.
It has been absolutely gorgeously gorgeous in every way.
Okay.
So we'll just jump right in. This is
and say hello to
hello
Diane.
to Diane. Yes, and to all those out there in radio
That
land listening.
To travel with
dare
us.
to listen to this wondrousness.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Yeah.
So
thank you. Whoops,
glad to
this
have
one out again.
your presence.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start, as we always do, with the Alchemical Mind. This is the one for today. It is. We got to go to the screen. Let me make.
We're about 7 o'clock starting the class.
For you.
Hope we make it through.
Whoa. There we go. So today's Alchemical Mind is Fire Seed of Ether Transmutation. The other day was Transformation. This is Transmutation. Fire Seed of Ether Space. This portends a beneficial change in your current situation. The change may be one of physical locality or an alteration of mental perspective. Consider that prosperity follows upon geographical travel or flights of fancy. Dr. John Mumford from his book, Magical Tatras. And then this part is what you read. Can you see that good enough?
I can see it.
Oh, yeah, you're closer. Okay.
Change of perspective. A need for me in many small ways that build to create the shift I need to enter this new work each day and have it be life-altering. I travel deeply in this way and have to be careful to ground myself while continuing to travel forward. Eat, rest, meditate, movement, and conversation all help me to stay safe while I work with Robert to create new patterns for the future. Grateful for the ability to receive. Fire, Seed of Ether, Space, Transmutation. Raven Suzanne.
I love that.
Beautiful.
I love it. Grateful for the ability to receive. You are so generous in your openness to hear, honestly.
And shared.
And with this today is the Body Zero imprint number 49.
Boy, that is a beautiful one.
Isn't it gorgeous? And this one says, the representational formulation of motivational concepts is a complex process that is quantized into hyperspace through the intricate imprential pattern. This unique phenomena empowers the Body Zero, allowing it to seamlessly blend its movements with the recalculated direction of intent that is perceived in the present moment. As a result, this profound interconnectedness motivates the next level of development and facilitates the merging of change with the current state. This fusion of energies is then manifested and felt as a tangible transformation in the realm of form. And here we are. This was transformation was the alchemical position.
It's usually just perfect
Isn't
with
it
it,
something?
isn't it? It's amazing.
Yep, I love it. And I
And
love what you
working-
wrote.
Well, in working with the whole concept of a metamorphosis, transmutation, transformation, be assisted by patterns that imprint, that are imprential, that help break down. There are patterns about ideas and codes. And that whole idea we were given we didn't really like make it up like we were trying to make up something. We were given it, and we didn't even understand it. It took us a bit to even understand the idea of it. And I was thinking the other day when we'd been watching this really wonderful series on Gaia that's being actually allowed people to see it for free right now. So we had signed up for it, and we watched the whole 13 episodes. But it was called Rewired, and in the whole thing, they're not talking about patterns to use, but they're showing an individual walking along, seeing another individual, and that individual all at once becomes information. And it's like the information you get from seeing someone and the information you get from talking to someone, it becomes information. And it goes into the mind and its perspective, and then it becomes archived. And that is the process of pattern imprintation. This was showing another person or things that happen in your life. The wonderful thing is that things that happen in our lives are they put in the archive, and they're very hard to get back out.
Right.
And but the concept of the imprintals go in the same way, but they work to free up the archive of patterns that are blocking. Or patterns that you can't figure how to break them down. Or the patterns that show you how to break down a blocking archive information. And I think, it doesn't something. It's not something like if you buy a new washing machine and you wash all your stuff in your clothes, and then it's like it's invisible. It's in your mind. It's in your archive. And so that's kind of harder for people, even harder for us to even take in and even recognize. Even when we had all the information about it, it's like it was science. This was a new science before this new science. And then I love seeing where they were explaining that to everybody, and it helped me let go of the things that were standing in our way that we can't actually prove. Because they already proved it. And so it was a fabulous workshop.
Basically that is what it was.
And we appreciated it so much and felt so gifted by being able to get it. But we know that it came into our airway in our time because it was time to support. We needed support in that kind of way. So I thought that was really fun. And so the whole thing of transmutation being done by a pattern that you archive, that its whole motionary energy is about that, and it is in the archive. And it and then getting all the information about it, how it works, what it is, how it's going to break it down, is like, that is such a formidable gift. And we took it, but we didn't understand it. Now we understand it a lot more. But the thing is, it was already there, even though we didn't have the laboratories and all that information and all the sciences. We've been working with it for at least 30 years.
That's so good.
Okay, so we can.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move over to today's Alchemical Read Magazine flipbook class, and make that bigger on the screen. There we go. And go up to 150. And today's cover collage. You read that? You want me to make it bigger?
Whenever you want to see more clearly, just step into the garden and see what she sees in all directions.
Yeah.
I
loved it. I love that picture.
I love this was in the last class as a collage. It's part of the book of the last class. Now it's becoming its own
And that's
book.
how I
love
thread
that.
each of the classes. I always take one of the collages you've made for the previous class, and it becomes the cover for the next class. It's like crocheting, where you reach back and pull
Picking it
forward.
up.
Yep.
because
it's
the
that maintains
collages
that thread.
are the new collages of the
Mhm.
last week, and so it's like threading all that information into
there.
Yes.
So
new
it
body
starts
work.
this new
Your
piece.
Creative Life series did that too.
Yeah.
Where by the end you had the name for the
Oh,
next
that's
one.
right.
Yeah, the
I
same
forgot
kind
that.
of process.
Thank you, sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
So there's our copyright page,
Mm-hmm.
and then the title is from that collage, and it's whenever you want to see more clearly, just step into the garden and read the intro.
And this is one of the new collages I did this week.
I like you up here. This is very easy for you to see too.
Clinging to the source of our beliefs, we walk through the door of our disbeliefs.
Love that. That is a great introduction.
Opening up the blue, we predict water as relevant and wild under the alchemy of the radiant tutelage of Gaia's mother.
And sit with that one. Would you read that again?
Opening up the blue, we predict water as relevant and wild under the alchemy of the radiant tutelage of Gaia as mother.
I love that. That water is relevant. Water as an element too.
Mm-hmm.
Elemental movement that water does beyond just its liquid state that you see as water.
And this is
Her
this week
sentience.
blooming. Probably round all over Maine, but it was on the boardwalk when we got up one morning this week at 4, and we went on the boardwalk, saw the sunrise, and did our qigong and our yoga, kind of a combination. And then we sat and we photographed, and then we did our walk along the ocean. It was so wonderful.
It's gorgeous.
And I always try to pick up what we're doing, what activities we're doing, picking up pieces of it, so that the collages are relevant to our life and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then part of the collages are of the week, that week. And then others I pick from all the other weeks that are relevant. And it's very wonderful. I usually make about 12, 13, 15 new collages that are more pulled from that week where we were, what we did. So this is one of
and
them.
as you mentioned, the boardwalk walk that we did, I also want to say that we did a tabletop conversation, or we do them on several of the boardwalk walks that we do. And so there's a new one up. So when you go to our YouTube site, not only do we have the class recordings, but there are some tabletop conversations too. That some of them are just like
And
15
actually,
minutes to 30 minutes.
today, this morning, we did a tabletop
Oh yeah,
conversation.
and I think I put it on. Yeah.
Okay,
So it should be
Cool.
there. Yeah.
be fine.
So.
So, opening up the blue, we predict water as relevant and wild under the alchemy of the radiant tutelage of Gaia as mother.
I love that. Okay. Whenever you want to see more clearly, just step into the garden, said Alice. And you know when she's quoting your title before you've even begun to write what you're going to write and say what you're going to say, well, just about anything can happen, can't it?
We are caught up in the story of our lives, you and me. And with that very fact, we can story ourselves through through thick and thin, up and down, and even sideways if we have to.
It's beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous?
This is a whole bunch of miracles. Sandra went all through the garden and picked the blooms that were ready and put them in the basket, and then I photographed it, and then she put them in something to dry, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
For
beautiful.
another basket.
Orange and yellow bring the companion plants to the garden, and we begin the alchemy of a new body of work as companion. And this is small pictures, but they're there, of Robert and I working at the glass tables. Well, yeah. At the glass table in the temple, these tables, there's two of them, and they've just been profoundly wonderful because we can do so many things, I mean, including painting and eating and recording.
They're very
And
handy.
there's a bigger picture of Robert sitting down. He is actually typing. And this is the little altar space. Can't hardly see her, but there's Kuan Yin that's to the side of the swing, and the swing now is facing a new direction, and that's west.
Facing west.
So,
That's wonderful. And I love this collage.
thank you.
Oops.
Yes, it's wonderful.
So nice to see what you all do. You know, during the day, it really
That,
captures.
yes, that was
Thank you.
isn't that
Sweet.
wonderful. As the title says, if we want to see more clearly, it's important to step into your garden. The garden is your safe space, a space that nurtures you, gives you solace when you're in need of it, makes you very happy to be within its embrace.
The magic in a garden is palpable, and because the life of flowers and herbs is so ephemeral, you can easily be transported beyond the scope of your imagination, because the Fae folk are capable of expanding your view.
Oh. This is our new Monarda that we put in. We had
it's
some, but we
gorgeous.
put a lot more in this year because, where it's called the bee balm. And look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? Bee balm,
It is gorgeous.
giving voice to the garden plan. She aerates the distance so that we can imagine travel beyond the limitations that block us.
And look at that. How perfect is that? Beyond the scope even of your imagination, because they are capable of expanding your view. So they take the Fae folk take you beyond the blocks.
She's a very important garden flower, bee
Isn't she?
balm. And she's very, the bees absolutely love her, so she's a pollinator.
So sweet.
Oh, isn't that
Gorgeous.
gorgeous color?
What a
Gorgeous,
color.
gorgeous.
It was no accident that Alice found herself in a bloody queen's white rose garden. And where do you think the queen was getting the red paint from? Chop off their heads, cried the queen in a fit of decorator woes.
That's kind of gross, Rob.
I know.
In order to not lose our heads,
Yeah.
we must keep track of our wild imaginations and make good use of them. Otherwise, we are wasting our time threading letter to number and number to sentence and sentence to these paragraphic landscapes. Oh, I love that.
So you can't lose your head. Don't get it chopped off.
The garden embrace marks you like it does the birds.
And Raven dances light back into the day from night.
Oh,
Love that.
I do too.
That's our
Don't you love that red arc?
the
that?
ark and then the raven sculpture, which she's kind of fallen apart. But she's right over the little pond,
Yeah.
and there is Lemon Verbena.
yes, yes.
She is the queen of lemon.
And notice at that angle, you don't seem to see that door is at an dangerously odd angle. It looks straight up and down.
It's been there for
Yeah, it's
weeks.
normal.
Okay, oops, now you read this part.
Our papered awareness is brought about by the birch. It was in pitch by the birch deva and the overlighting deva of Gaia. When these combine their energies, the forces of good are unleashed, and your life changes forever.
The goodwill of the garden is guardian to your soul's request to have color bend its way into form and function, so that what you see is what you get. But underneath it all are the mycelial networks, interconnecting garden to garden, tree to tree, and flower to flower.
Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful.
The rose speaks many languages, and it perfumes its way through the garden and makes the difference we have prayed for.
It sure has.
Yeah.
I love the water. There's
Mhm.
the wet drops on the
Yeah.
centophinium. Or, That's pretty.
Isn't it sweet? Oh, such rich colors.
Mm-hmm. That's how to do that.
These connections allow the body to transfer thought to action, and action to imagination, which is the cornerstone of creativity. This creative act instills resonance within the field of Gaia and nurtures her as she does us.
This symbiotic connection is linked to your visual system of relay, which is why, when you see the white rabbit run past, you check your watch. What are you watching now? Your breath, your stomach, your mind, your heart?
This we photographed at the harbor this week when we did our early morning walk.
Mm-hmm.
Every harbor has its magic, and we watch in awe and listen. All the water that courses its way under the boards and pilings are spoken for.
Wow, that's
There's that water
beautiful.
element again.
Oh.
And here's the watching. What are you watching? And we watch in awe. What perfect fit right there, my
Oh.
dear.
Pick a topic and enjoy what you are watching, because if you don't, who will? Who will is another of the caterpillar's favorite phrases, and one that you should adopt as well. You never know when you're going to run into something that needs your attention.
Thread the needle smartly into your coat pocket, and you'll always find time to whistle a tune pulling thread. There is no joking at a time like this, because things are quite ready to come upright.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Kuan Yin watches over us and guides us through the distance. The garden embodies her grace and compassion so we can see clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our little round altar space at the corner of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Kuan Yin. I love her right there.
Me
She's
too.
so
So sweet.
she's so nestled. It's the
She
best
really
place
is nestled,
we've ever
isn't she?
put that beautiful statue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then with this are all the aerators. These are all the menthas,
Mm-hmm.
and they they put their perfumes out into the air, and
They are.
and then another one is the lemon verbena. She's so strong.
Yep.
Some things have a scent, but they don't. But menthas and lemon verbenas are pretty
Just,
wonderfully
yes.
strong scents. So I call them
Oh,
the
they are.
aerators.
I love
They're
that.
beautiful.
All that green.
There's dill,
Mhm.
and of course the garden angel.
Mhm.
Very appropriate. Oh, I read that. Okay. Here you go.
If you've ever noticed you've fallen down a rabbit's hole, oh, you got WHOLE,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. Then at least didn't end up all to pieces, and therefore were quite capable of finding your way to the tea party and the table with the long spoons. Oh, I love that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's our tea party.
Not everyone is as capable as you, and thus you must help people find their way. Don't keep this to yourself any longer, said Alice. Time is important, because the numbers are connected to the letters, and the letters must go out.
Mm.
Oh,
Talking
that's
about
wonderful.
Coming to
That's
the table. Don't keep it to yourself.
I love that,
Hmm.
the long spoon.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep it to yourself.
I love this photograph, this collage. It is,
Mhm.
I took it this week, this pictures, and this, I love the way these templates are. This when I put the golden, the marigolds that were in the basket in the smaller place. And this one is on into the front part of the garden. It's really just beautiful. I don't know quite what the name of these are. I've never seen them until here in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And they spellbind me.
Mm-hmm.
They're real tall, and the blooms are long,
Mhm.
and they're just beautiful. I think they have quite a few of them around the Farnsworth.
Yeah, they
and
do.
They had theirs were blue, but these are this beautiful, kind of shades
Coppery,
of gold and
yeah.
copper.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teach me, dear blossoms, how to consecrate my nectar as part of the divine, as you do, in one single bloom.
Oh,
Oh, that
wow.
is just,
That's deep.
I love that. Read that one again, please.
Teach me, dear blossoms, how to consecrate my nectar as part of the divine, as you do, in one single bloom.
That is so wondrous.
Wow, just spoke this week.
Mm-hmm.
As the radius of your circumference measure intones itself, there must be a corresponding note of outward expression equal to the volume of input you've been given. The dormouse is nodding her head and waving her pen to make the point.
The intoxication of the garden is just what the healer ordered. And to inhale a lungful of garden is to be deeply nurtured by the fragrances as they waft your way. Something to write home about, for sure.
Little anemone, a garden gift from Charlotte Ritter. Beloved, fairies, our garden to help the wee folk to find a way home. No, find a way in.
No, it's so cool.
Mm.
Isn't she
Little
sweet?
anemone.
Yeah. Gosh, she's just beautiful.
So delicate.
Okay, Robert.
Small of stature, large of purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you already read that intoxication?
Yeah.
The sight is restored and your attitude,
Your sight and miss the whore on that here.
and your attitude is adjusted and brought level to your surroundings. The more you include yourself in your day, the greater the effect you have on all that's near to you. Oh, I like that. Go back. Read that again so I can hear it.
Okay. Your sight is restored and your attitude is adjusted and brought level to your surroundings. The more you include yourself in your day, the greater the effect you have on all that's near to you.
And that's kind of interesting, the more you include yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Creating a resonance is one of the finest things you can do. A resonance that exudes love, compassion, and well-being for yourself and others. This the garden provides to all who enter her domain.
Folding our arms of all the layers host a high tea in the garden today. And I thought that was so funny because I got not to change it, and it's folding arms of all the layers. So the folding arms of all the layers is hosting a high tea
I love that.
in the garden today.
That's great.
And just look how well this is folding,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah,
the
she's-
rose is coming up
Yeah,
kind of in a, she kind of wraps.
Yeah, yeah.
We remember how we always took time for the garden ritual.
Mhm.
Have tea, high tea.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mhm.
Writing because the garden of your lettered self. Oh, writing becomes the garden of your lettered self. Your papered awareness expresses your intonations, and you watch as you become more and more aware of your own expression. Our own expressions are so much lost
Mhm.
because we don't see our face,
Mhm.
and if we're not paying attention to what we're doing, then all that instant of that is all lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what you see. Say what you see. See from the inside out. Let others come into your garden and fold the pages, bend the fold, stitch the stitch, so that what was said remains, and the self is gained in the gaining.
Oh, I love that. So instead of ignoring your expression,
Mm-hmm.
you start noticing it, seeing what you see, and then say what you see, which is
Mm-hmm.
really open to it, and see from the inside out. Let others come into your garden and fold the pages, bend the fold, stitch the stitch, so that what was said remains and the self is gained in the gaining.
Wow. Smart.
Had you already read that one? Or did I
Yeah.
kind of confused?
No, I'm glad you read it again.
Okay,
It's
read
important.
this.
With this collage, oh God, I love this collage. Sunrise matches the morning's rise of herbal oils. Basil, with its rich flavors, we take in as we paint. And there's that whole
Oh,
big
that's
close-up
wonderful.
of all that
That was a
basil,
neat.
and
Yeah.
then the inset of the bay.
And the sunrise.
Mhm.
Oh, exquisite.
So-
It is
It's a bay
beautiful.
sill. I love it.
Oh, bay.
Sill.
I
love it.
instead of the bay, like basil.
I love
And
it.
basil
Yeah.
is a picture.
because
of
it's
it.
a
Oh my
window.
I never
gosh.
got
And
that.
see,
didn't
that's
think
a
of-
window into the bay, and all windows have what? Windowsill.
Wow.
So basil.
Like in
Oh.
Cinderella.
Oh,
Windowsill?
Oh, I love
Oh,
that. I
that's
love that.
awesome.
Okay.
The curve is in sight, seen and noted, and the age of matter is resonating its reach, so that your stretch is not without purpose. The butterfly emerges when the time is ripe, and the harvest takes on a new meaning.
See more clearly, looking into the face of any blossom, and you will find a soul staring back at you, filled with grace and presence, and reminding you of the same. What generous spirits are the Fae, and all their realm supports us.
Yeah. Wow.
Here's a beautiful bee balm.
Mm-hmm.
Bee balm, opening the embrace of the garden for our work. We engage in the garden temple to celebrate the full rate speed we need.
That's cool.
I love, it looks like the sloth guy is sitting, we're sitting across from each other.
I know.
It's so
We're
funny.
sitting beside him, you
Oh.
can't see, but
And
it's hopscotch. He was
Yeah.
sitting in the swing.
And he almost looks like he has a white and blue striped shirt on, but
That's
it's
what I
actually
thought
the,
too.
the
He
slats of the
does.
blue metal chair. And
Oh.
then,
Oh,
I don't know what's behind him that looks white, but anyway, that's funny. There you go.
come out of your old self. Shed it like a coat. Unlock the arms. Empty the pockets. Hang it up on the line and get yourself over here where the light bathes you in its splendor.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Your new self awaits you over here. If you feel there, then come and feel here. Ease is the distance, and grand are the steps as you uncover the mystery to garden and the opening of bloom.
And I love this collage. This is
Mhm.
actually one of the stepping stones in the garden that we kind of set up.
Really?
That we got, and it has a frog
And look,
sculpture on it.
grand are the steps.
See the frog?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love that as the background. Frog is about making the leap forward, and this for us is done here in the garden where all the mystery resides and our focus is held.
I love that.
And so in this class, it's like in this whole sharing is a broader and deeper view of what garden is.
Mhm.
And what can be done in a garden and what makes it all so profound. And I think that as we move on, we keep going deeper and deeper, you'll see into what the garden is and where we first heard about a garden
Mhm.
when we were small, and all that has said to come out of the garden and the garden plan. So we'll be going deeper in as we move along. Okay. We are not relegated to some past oldness, but rather to the new of Gur that augurs in a time of spent on the shem of effort, the endurance of hope, and the elation of completion. Completion that brings in the love, compassion, and well-being. And you realize that every plant that blooms
Has to come.
is in the state of completion.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow,
Okay.
you got that.
Your threadial existence is rooted within the center of your existial presence, and this existial mode is codial and prepares you for unfoldment. You are an open book to your story, and the story has the magic of words encoded within them to achieve you beyond the past, to advance you beyond the past.
The blues of chicory fill the air with everything we need. As we deepen our work, the summer heats up the alchemy.
That is a beautiful picture. That's page 16
Always
of the flip book.
can't wait for chicory. Every year, it's like significant to me once the chicory has bloomed.
Oh.
By being in your story, as opposed to being outside your own story, creates a revenue of abundance that brings positive results to what you need to sustain your endeavors.
The needle pushes through the fabric, and our woven nature is threaded into the weave of tapestry. Once connected, the ease increases, whether there is audience or not.
Wow.
Ooh.
I love that. Garden art evolves strangely at times, and you know you have visitors from other worlds, and you must bow before approaching.
I love that.
There's that guardian.
Awesome.
I love that.
Sound carries across divides, over the abyss and into the untended ear. This way, dream pollinates the receiving factors built in by mystery, so that no one can forever be outside their own dream.
Oh, how beautiful.
Dreaming ringing happens when the need is greater than the obstacle, and the obstacle must give way to allow entry by resonance alone. The field resonance picks up both wave and particle, so that what was missed is regained.
Oh, that is awesome. Oh, I love that, Robert.
Thank you.
The garden speaks in many ways, and the guardian listens. No one hears the conversation because it is ancient and not said.
Wow.
It's just there, being.
Ease regains your composure, temperament, attitude, and ability to reframe yourself. Breath brings ease, always. Breath opens portal doors and allows movement to flow beyond judgment, contractions, and conditions set to limitation. So it's really over and over again as we get closer and deeper in the garden plan that the word ease becomes essential. It's almost like the blood in the garden plan. As you get into the blood and the pulse of the garden plan, ease is the word.
Yeah.
Ease is the key.
It is indeed. The garden has always been a potent factor. It has been described as where we come from, and then we're described as being thrown out of the garden. But instead, we are thrown into a much larger garden, a much bigger landscape, more potential for the variedness of us all.
That's a good answer.
To begin and flash, to enter color, is the movement of mystery. To leave the before of black and white and enter into new potential. That's very much at that moment in the creative process.
The red paint going down at the tip end of that brush. Delicious.
Did that not have a lower thing? I didn't. Oh yeah, it
Red.
did. Yeah. Did I read that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I read that. You read the top part.
A garden where innumerable flowers grow and animals of all sorts thrive and survive and potentiate life. I think we must have passed the big test when we ate of that formidable apple.
We were allowed to leave a smaller mind and step into the potency of an everlasting mind, where an apple a day keeps us fit, engaging, expanding. But that's when the war started. Over how many apples a day could you ask for, eat, and expand?
Wow.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Always making a day out of clay, we begin again to gather all our own clay and breathe life into the sweetest thought.
It's getting the dirt under the nails, right?
Yeah, that actually dirt under your nails is really healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It was that whole thing I read. It was really cool.
It was. So the answer is limitlessness, but hardly anyone can believe that. So what was begun as a gift is now a prize fought for. The sacred geometry within one apple is the sacred geometry of the word yes.
The consoling particle is limitless, and it cannot be owned in this world. It is the seed of permission. The foremost forgiving grace is the most potent factor of what life is for. And then, the quiet dark reveals the delicate longing of light often unquieted. The creative resides in this longing, sometimes unrequited.
I love that combination of those two.
Mm-hmm.
That's the collage on page 21 of the flip book.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Forgivingness is like peeling back the foreskin of the male gender so that it can spermiate the female egg into a nestio environment. This is forgivingness, and the war has been about how much, how many, who, what for, contraction, constriction, height, volume, speed, and what's on first.
Yeah. What's on?
That was a paragraph I almost didn't put in the book.
Very
That's
powerful
wonderful.
one, though.
Oh, very powerful.
We judge a people, a world, a consciousness, a color, a mind, and worth by this system. We guard the product, the making, the made, and availability. We sort and choose like it is some kind of money, gem, or precious stone, and we always want a makeover.
The garden sits with us. The garden sits with you as you engage in thought and reverie. You are never deeply alone because Gaia is a constant in life.
Ever present, especially to let you know that in a garden.
In the garden plan, this is not the story. We graduated into a larger opposite so we could pull the whole world into the garden through the garden gate of acceptability. I'm going to read that again. In the garden plan, this is not the story. The what we just read above, that's what I'm saying. We graduated into a larger opposite. So we graduated with the apple into a larger opposite so we could pull the whole world into the garden through the garden gate of acceptability. And so the garden was all outside of the garden.
That is so good. The marigold, the nasturtium, the calendula, all companions to create a larger landscape of the privet hedge of boundary that engages in a province called honoring.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then here's the collage.
Coming into the summer gifts of art and flowers and movement that fills the spirit of space.
I like him being there with the mapping and then there with the, just something, it signaled me just then that with the white mapping on the black background and then seeing the little bellflowers of the Solomon seal, that white is connected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, there you go.
So the garden expanded into no walls, no expectations, only the coloring and mingling of every species allowed. We incarnate through the will to create more acceptability, larger blendings of colors, allowing the deep dark precision of black and white, the known and the unknown.
We are part of the garden plan, and we have always been part of the garden plan. None of us are outside the garden wall. It is ever expanding because of its inclusivity, not its exclusivity.
And so here the book inside this, uh, you're taking the thing of procreation and in the givingness of the act of procreation, and it's given to you into another way of seeing it. But it's the same thing that life is all about. And in the garden plan, like you hear the garden story and the fall and all that, what really happened is everything fell open.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't fall down, it fell open.
Mm-hmm.
It was like all at once, it was this little box that was the Garden of Eden. And all at once when they ate the apple, the little box opened up. It's like it fell open.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a huge garden, the whole world.
Just like a giant origami.
So they weren't out of the garden. How could be out of the garden when you're in the world?
Yeah.
And so it was a falsity.
A mistelling.
It was a mistelling of actually a triumph made like it was limiting and failure.
Mm-hmm.
That actually the apple, eating of the sacred geometry of the apple, between the male and female, is taking in regeneration and is taking in the potentiality of new life. And all at once, they're way too big for the little garden. They're way too big for the little garden, and they get a whole world. That's their prize. It's like they won the lottery.
Wow.
But
So it's like the tree of life aspect of it is that, somehow they didn't get to the tree of life, which would be immortal life. But with the feeding of the apple and the walls falling open and you're in, you can't be outside of creation, then the act of procreation is a fractal of immortal life. It's constantly unfolding, so there's never not life. That original life is still here because all it's done is unfolded itself.
because that's what the male gender, what he has is he's forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
His penis is forgiving. It's all about giving.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, it's forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the whole thing has been turned inside out and backwards.
And there's the war.
And that's the war.
Mm-hmm.
The ones the questions. How often, how much, everything would be, how often can you, how many apples can you eat?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is really, really cool. And I think as on the second read, you'll understand it even more.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't understand it until I went farther into it. And I said, oh my God. It seemed very generous and very nice, that the whole part about the garden and how beautiful it is. And then all at once you're into the deep, dark mystery of the garden, and you didn't know you were going
It's
there.
in the dirt.
Yes, you're in the
Digging
dirt.
down into the dirt.
We are coded and wired for this immense opportunity. We are to succeed. We are to exceed. We are wired to drop down through with precision and get what we need.
Mm-hmm. The morning space of this world is the beginning of the mark, the marking, and the marked. All is made profound, and we have no day without profound importance.
That's great.
Smaller so you can see.
Using
There we go.
what you already have is necessary now as the old rips away. Its true purpose as it supports the present now, grateful.
Mhm.
So we're ripping away in the whole world right now um, the lie.
Mhm.
The lie
Yeah,
about
the
the
apple.
garden
In the fall.
and the fall.
What kind of fall was it?
Right.
That's why in the rabbit hole and with the story of Alice and the mathematics behind it, that she fell but she didn't break into pieces. She went down a rabbit hole, WHOLE, didn't go into pieces.
That's cool.
There you go.
Oh, I'm gonna try that.
So we cannot waste a day, even if we tried. All the wasting is in vain, because there is no state of unimportance in this living.
The Memorandex, we didn't quite know how to spell that.
That's really good.
Of
It's a new word.
what all is in the garden, like, you know, the whole,
The memory index.
yeah, the memory of what all is in the garden plan moves through the cosmos like a calming reed of gesture that unfolds in the wind. Words simple, words that speak volumes when given to breath.
Doesn't that go with this? Just the collage there.
That's stunning.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
What settles it all in the garden and all its ways that raise the horizon? Yes, it is the rose in all her cranial divine chakras, chakra ways
Mhm.
that move through love, or love through, move
Mhm.
love through.
Move love through.
Mm.
Wow. Mm.
That's why we have so many roses.
Yeah.
And
We do.
oh my God, I left them out there.
Uh-huh.
Did you do anything? You didn't bring them in?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
The mind ignites with it.
I was making just plain rose essence.
Mm-hmm.
So either while we're doing the class or after, we got to go get her and take the roses off and then strain the essence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The mind ignites it. The mind ignites with it. And we become better thought, better heard, better formed, so that the song that sings within each thing, person, and mind is lifted up above the horizon to see the sunrise day after day after day in the future promise of more to be known to live for.
Wow.
And here we're talking about making the rose essence, and these are pictures of essences that we made last year and the year before.
Mm-hmm.
To find the relationship that sets your tea is rich. Bring over the pot and light up the burner and sip up healing.
Yes. Sip up healing. We are counseled by the wind. We are counseled by the rose. We are counseled by the breath that allows the rose to enter. We sit down in the graces of the longing and find a world that nestles all around us so that we can know we are a flower.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Not a cut flower, but a rooted flower deep down into the black dirt of Gaia thought. She moves each day a new seed of what we can root deep down into. Nasturtium, one of my favorites, not only blooms for me and you, but each other flower in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
There's a lot of them blooming for each other.
For each other, I know.
Yeah.
That really brings their sentience forward, doesn't it? She's like a privet hedge that protects certain herbs and flowers. She climbs over and blooms nourishment in sight, taste, and memory.
So here there's flowers that you're starting to talk about flower relationships, and those are real. And like nasturtium, you put her in a lot of beds to actually create a hedge of potency and protection for other flowers. So she's significant in relationshipial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those words I made up, they're kind of tough sometimes.
Mhm.
So it's really neat to start seeing flowers as having relationships with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
That is really
Reaching through the wardrobe of past to remember small pieces. Our work that broke us open to the richness of who we are now.
Mhm.
So it's like our work is not only to break you open, but it has to break us open 1st.
Mm-hmm. For your
In a word, in a way to convey how long we have been, is like trying to trace the the first seed that ever was, and how it made out,
Mhm.
and how it made out of itself. Did you get that? There was an entirety that came before it, and we are the generations of the promised that instill the essence of our first cause.
Although we can't for sure predict how far the intention goes, but we can allow ourselves to touch base with its mark and renew the reality of ourselves.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Making the simple wise and marking it with wisdom is now moving. We must know how to listen to the smallest of things.
yeah.
I think that's, I love that that came back into this class, because I just think it's absolutely beautiful and has an immensity to say.
Yeah. And I think once you get used to listening to the smallest of things, that is where the ease comes from. Because you have a broader field of energy to receive, to recognize, and because you can recognize it, you can receive it. So there's a lot of help in that.
And once you learn how to do that, you become one who can actually see the value in the future. That creating a future from the smallest of things. That's quite awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. In the beginning, we became the presence, and in the presence, we became the ability, and in the ability, we are.
Picking up the full capacity of what realization brings to the code, pulse is what it becomes, and pulse is what it is. And pulse is a word to know better than just the beat of the heart. Breaking the square of the perspective of zero, the point of the pulse, that no moment escapes.
Wow.
Coloring all the spaces in one's life with the flow of the garden, moving the body into words and visionary conversations.
I love that collage and the combinations that are going on there. There's a lot
At the
happening.
beginning of the seeds and,
Mm-hmm.
and body writing from the body, and then this, it was like the garden sideways, kind of all the way up to the clouds in the sky.
I love that, having that sky photo in there. You know,
It's
all
really
that groundedness of the garden in the sky. Part
And
of
then all
of
the
it.
time, the map maker avatar is
Mhm.
moving
Mhm.
everywhere.
Moving. What a conversation that is.
Did we read the bottom?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
Allowing and re-allowing connects the keys to the door of the portal. We move, and we never resist again the turn of the key.
Yeah. Clearly, the garden opens your sight, and with it your insight into a deeper, richer avenue, a path of dirt and seeds, a path of listening and feeling, a path of delight and abundance.
Can you read?
The opening of child happiness happens in the garden easily. We taste the sweet memory of dirt, play, and small invisible friends.
And that does truly happen. The more you stay, the more you see.
Yeah. The garden plan is a story so ancient it is beyond all stars, galaxies, universes. It is before the beginning and allows us to reach beyond anything we've ever known, into the sitchla that holds everything present, to our ability to move our papered awareness into a fold and bend worth noting.
You know what this reminded me of? Go up to the next one above.
Mm-hmm.
That one. It reminded me of one of our most favorite films that we watched more than I can even remember to count when we were dreaming of coming to Maine. And
Yes.
we watched this one film that was done in Maine, or supposedly, over and over and over again till we were here.
Yeah.
And what I loved most, was how that they lived outside. That in this story, not only did they have coffee and tea and eat outside, but they did all kinds of everyday tasks outside, and I just loved watching it. That they would, some of the everyday tasks, and some of my favorite cooking shows are they actually being out into the garden is actually where some of the preparation of the food is done. And there's something really special, that breath of inside outside, that drew me to come here to live in Maine. And so our garden is one that we actually engage in inside activities, even outside. And it's just so, it's just what we dreamed of. And we have we eat breakfast outside. We have in the tent, we gather outside to have conversations and have visitors. And we have we paint outside, and we make all kinds of cut up things and prepare things for what are they? All kinds of blends of herbs and pestos and everything. And a lot of the preparation is done outside, and it's just it's magical. It's magical to have that. And Maine is just kind of noted for that. I lived in Kentucky for many years, and that was, it wasn't, as a parent, for people to do that. So I love this. Go ahead.
Whoops. I need to read that.
Aren't you going to read the thing above?
I already did. I can read it again. The
Please
garden plan is a story so ancient as beyond all stars, galaxies, universes. It is before the beginning and allows us to reach beyond anything we've ever known, into the situla that holds everything present to our ability to move our papered awareness into a fold and bend worth noting.
I love that.
Layer upon layer elongates and clicks into place so the mark is made clearly. The full nature is received and the flow connects in for receivement.
Now this is like a whole collage of inside outside, and a whole collage of all kinds of worlds, intermixing together. And some are about water, some are about, ethereal, and some are angelic, and here's all the folds of it pop up.
I love that.
But they're all here together, layering and elongating. I love this one.
Take this down. Your own notebook, journal, diary is waiting for your presence. It hears your need and waits patiently for the words you hear to be found out, as wild as they might be. Become who you are. The math is in the equation, the word is in the code, and the code finds you ready for this new level of ease.
Go ahead.
Inside the room of light, we allow the grace of bindweed to unbind our future so we can travel more easily in our work.
Oh, I love that one. That we did a month or so ago. And now the bindweed's going back in to the White Rose Cottage. She's very busy.
That's the best lighting
I know.
in there.
So
It's very magical.
It is very much.
Closure. Picking up our feet and folding them into our favorite box of organic travel, we move through the garden gate.
Put a comma right
And I hope in this class, if anything, that we realize that the story of the garden was not the story of betrayal and the story of being thrown out, but actually we were invited to caretake a larger garden.
Mm-hmm.
We had passed the test.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Every day and every week, every day in every way, we are getting better and better and better. We can stand into our work and center with our creativity.
Wow.
I need to see that today.
Mm-hmm.
That's really wonderful and reading.
There's our publisher page, and then we have a couple more bonus
Mm-hmm.
collages.
I love this one. God, I love that big bird.
Mm-hmm.
He's in another piece, but the full eye of sight is enhanced by acceptance of the imprensile that is part of the language of the birds, ancient and profound. Well, that pretty much says it all, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I love this collage.
I do too. And this one?
What a cooperative pair that vibrates through cordial awareness, making sure that the formation current is free and unbound. So this is one of really beautiful Vincial patterns that we did, big piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And here is Rutabaga or the Gloriosa. I think it's Rutabaga.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but it's going down like a coneflower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Could
that
be
close up and
echinacea.
that really far away, all in the
That
same.
is
Mhm.
gorgeous.
Aren't
That's
they
a
beautiful?
painting
That's
inside.
amazing.
I mean, it's our picture.
Mm-hmm.
Micro and macro.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one. Oops, gotta make sure.
Always looking for a small space of air that folds around you. You map your way through the gravity of the world.
Mm.
I love that.
Yeah.
That small space
Always,
of air is that
yeah.
breath.
Looking for a small space.
For a
breath-
small space
The
of
breath
air.
makes everything easy.
Maps you through the gravity of the world. So you're saying, knowing right here, that these dream scape avatars will definitely know they're mappers
Mm-hmm.
and navigators, and so they are helping us map our way through the
Yeah,
gravity of
through
the
that.
world into the next level.
Wow,
Thank you.
you flew through this book. It's beautiful.
I know,
Wow.
it really.
It's wonderful.
You got another one.
Oh wait, we got a little bit more
Yep.
to go here.
Oh yeah, I went back. I
There
love
are
this
more.
picture.
Oh yeah, I
We
remember.
love more bonus features.
Yes, more bonus features here. Forgot about that.
I said, Robert,
Several
I love
more.
this picture. So we put
I
it
said
in.
we could put it in. I said we have
You're the editors.
the ability to do such a thing.
Under the brow of each hat of cranial evolvement is a new grace. This grace is waited for by the garden plan you are and hold.
Mm.
I think that's good closure.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I
When,
love the word mellorism.
I've
that
spent
you-
so
it
much
said
of
it.
my life in the garden,
Yeah.
huh?
The mellorism. The
Oh
belief,
yes, I love that.
The belief that we can contribute to positive change and improve the world through acts of love, creativity, compassion, and kindness.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then this is the last one here.
The cloth of life is sometimes fragile, so apply the needle gently. Your force of will guide you to needle easily through with love.
Mm-hmm. That is quite grand. That was just wonderful. Yay, I love it.
Oh,
I
they're
love
awesome.
it.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Great.
So Robert's going to go ahead and prepare to send this out, and we're going to begin our conversation with our whole family,
Mhm.
Sandra and Suzanne and Christina.
And this maybe here. Turn
Which
it
one of you would
into
like to
this-
start?
I just needed a little drink of water. Well, this is a place I have thoroughly enjoyed spending hours every day, is in the garden plan. And this whole book brought in so many new things that I didn't realize were happening to me, or that I was taking in.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was that.
Is it still going? Just check.
Huh?
Is it
Oh, yeah.
still recording?
Yep, still recording.
Okay.
The,
go ahead.
being transported beyond the scope of your imagination. And I found that, especially since I've had time now to sit in the swing
Mm-hmm.
and watch and especially where I'm sitting, I see this perennial garden that is coming back from last year and the things that are missing. And so it's like my imagination of when they're going to come back, or what'll be there now, and something is growing there, but I don't know what it is yet. But and things that we've planted that I haven't seen yet. So it's like you could sit there for hours just imagining what's going on in this one small section outside the temple. It's just
That's the Oldham Garden.
Yeah.
Tree.
And
Tree garden.
and now with Marista there, that's all these little things, plants are coming to see her. Are coming there to be with her.
What?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And that goes with enjoying what you are watching. And I love that. I've never. Just this year has been a time of sitting and watching, and taking it in and imagining.
That's beautiful.
And like include yourself in your day. That may sound simple, but it isn't, and I'm going to start seeing more of myself in the day.
Oh God, Thunder, that'll be grand.
I see myself doing things within the day, but when you put yourself in as one word, that's kind of different. I love that the garden expanded into no walls, no expectations, only the coloring and mingling of every species allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an awesome quote for what this garden plan has done this year.
Mm.
I mean, it's always doing it, but it's also the fact that we are taking in that this is happening, not just seeing it and saying, "Oh, it's beautiful," blah, da 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 da. It's actually knowing what's going on and why this is happening.
Mm. That's beautiful.
And all the species allowed, we have, to me, I think, and what has been done with all the species are allowed to mix. This is not a garden full of this particular flower in so much area, or this particular plant that's got so much little space. Nothing's walled off or fenced off. The species are all inside with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what happened in the when they were so-called exited out of the garden.
Yes.
They were then blended with everything.
Yeah.
So instead of failing, they actually succeeded.
Yeah.
And they dared to want to know more than was in the garden at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is also the whole part about using your imagination, is knowing how to listen to the smallest of things.
Mm.
And seeing that as the Fey world. And I have, but I haven't. This helped me realize I wanted to step more into that.
Oh, that's lovely.
To react to each of these as the Fey world, which I've always believed in, but believing and participating with it is different. And I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that is very true. Very. Thank you.
When we talked about the bindweed, I have come to a much happier relationship with her. So I have a new relationship with bindweed, and she has let me help her, and she's also released herself from things where she could inhibit another species. And it's been a wonderful expression because it, instead of yanking her out,
Mm-hmm.
I take the time to unwind her from whatever she's clinging to, and then just gently pull her up.
Mm-hmm.
And then she lets go. I mean, she's very willing to let go if she knows you're not, trying to destroy her and
Mm-hmm.
undo her from what her work is.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love
That's
that.
what I-
mean, that's beautifully said.
But the whole book is just wonderful. Just wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Love that. I got the Kuan for the class is number 4. Peel apart the mind that does not yield to the rights of the body to have compassion given a new day. And I couldn't believe because one of the
She must be talking about peeling back the foreskin.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Uh-huh.
But one of the paragraphs in here that really struck me, and I didn't realize until later, when I was rereading the Kuan Yin, how it matches. As it said, we are not relegated to some past oldness, but rather to the new of Gur, that augurs in a time of spent on the shem of effort, the endurance of hope, and the elation of completion that brings in the love, compassion, and well-being. And I just thought that was beautiful. And then realizing that is a new day. I mean, that's what the new is. And a lot of times the mind in its old form or limited form has to be peeled apart and opened up to receive the garden, and where it can yield to the rights of the body to have compassion given. So I've really appreciated that part, and that experience with the garden has done that a lot for me. It's peeled apart my mind.
Oh, that's
and
good.
opened me up to my imagination, to a new day, and so I've been very grateful for that. And just in general, this entire book was such a revelation of new insights and perspectives that I am really looking forward to diving more into, taking in more, reading this again, so that there's just so much in it.
Did you get the benefit of the second time round?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked relevation.
Relevations.
That's a good word,
yes,
too.
thank you. So there were a couple things that I did pull out, but that just spoke to me, or just I thought was beautiful. One was that the magic in a garden is palpable, and because the life of flowers and herbs is so ephemeral, you can easily be transported beyond the scope of your imagination, because the Fey folk are capable of expanding your view.
Yep.
I
And
can't believe you got that all written down.
the magic in a garden is palpable.
I know.
What did you say?
How'd you manage to get
I
all-
couldn't believe you got that all written down.
Oh well,
That you could quote it back like that.
That's
I
what helps
love that.
having it in
on our phone, our device, we can go back. Like I'll get part of it, and then as you all move forward, and if we take kind of like pause or talking about something, then I can go back and finish writing the rest of it.
Oh, that's so cool.
But that just really spoke to me, and it's really what I have encountered in the garden for me, and I'm loving getting to know that part of myself and the Fey realm, just having that become more apparent to me and more real.
Well,
So
it
I love-
absolutely makes you beautiful.
Well, thank you. I love that. And I would, like Sandra, I had written down also, the more you include yourself in your day, the greater the effect that you have on all that's near to you. And I really want to do more of that. I think that's a really, really cool and very key thing to do. I loved this one too. Breath brings ease. Always. Breath opens portal doors and allows movement to flow beyond judgment, contractions, and conditions set to limitation. I just, and then you had talked about that ease is the key in the garden plan, and that's more and more what we're going to experience, and realize that if you're following ease, then you're always going to be in union and in resonance with the garden plan. And I love that. It's a good thing to hold on to. Oh, and then it was the beginning of you unpacking and explaining, talking about the Garden of Eden and the disinformation, the mistelling of that story and what that really meant. But I love that term that you all use, the garden gate of acceptability.
Yes.
And just realizing and registering when it's the world garden, it's the garden plan, it's the universal garden. The only gate to that garden is acceptability, and I just found that to be quite profound and beautiful.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Let's see. Always looking for a small space of air that folds around you. You map your way through the gravity of the world. That was one of the last collages, and me being an air sign, it's something that I can definitely relate to, and it really speaks to me. It's a visceral feeling for me to ask for that, to ask for a small space of air that folds around you. What that gives to me in my beingness, and when I'm trying to move through something or change something, it's just amazing. And that you put that down in words really meant a lot to me.
You know, it also came earlier in the week. I asked about something that I've experienced most of my life, and I still experience it. I'm a grown woman, and but I find myself like not wanting to really breathe, to breathe like I'm hiding.
Yeah.
To crouch down and breathe small, like I'm hiding. And I find myself at times, I'll just be getting ready to meditate or do something, but there's a part of me that is scared to breathe. And I know that this is, in this lifetime, I don't remember that as much as it comes from another lifetime.
Yeah.
And I thought, why is that? I thought, what is that? I notice it. And Robert said he has the same thing. And I said, I noticed that, but where does it come from? Because I'm almost afraid to take a bigger breath.
I know.
And I feel like that it kind of explained it.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. You're always looking for a small space of air that folds around you, like it keeps you feeling safe. And I love how it says you map your way through the gravity of the world.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's what we have to do.
Exactly.
But it's really interesting because you made me just think about in that series that you referred to that we just watched, The Rewired, there's the whole thing talks about that intrinsic response in our body to stress, that you either fight or flight, run or hide,
is the other
which
one.
is a newer one. Most people say fight or flight, but there's another component to it that they've realized about hiding.
Yeah.
And so in doing that, it's been a protection. It's been a way of feeling. It's been a response in our bodies to places where we either physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychically have been felt in danger. And so I think it's just really interesting how we're discovering, working with that,
starting to
becoming
notice it.
aware, becoming aware of it, and how to take the bigger breaths so that we can heal ourselves of that. And it's just really cool.
Yeah, I thought so
Glad
too.
you brought
Love that.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much. There is
Yeah.
so much in this that I didn't even touch upon, and I know that I wasn't even able to take in at this level, but it is working away in me. And I can't wait to dive into it deeper.
Mm.
Thank you.
I love that too.
I really enjoyed the part where you talked about the apple has sacred geometry, and you talked about how it represents new life, and I just think it was a neat way of taking in that whole story of Adam and Eve in the garden. And I think that the apple is such a mystery, and I think it's really cool what you all brought forward about the apple and in this book. So I'm grateful for that.
Yep.
And when you talked about the sacred geometry of the apple, it's neat that one of the parts on page 33 you talked about the math is in the equation. The words, let's see, it's in the equation. The words are in the code, and the code finds you ready for this new level of ease. And it's neat that there's mathematics, well, of course, everywhere in your work, but it's just neat that thinking about that you maybe like you broke a code with revealing more truth to that story, which will then bring like a new level of ease of realizing more of what that's really about.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Very cool.
So that's pretty awesome. And I really enjoyed the part about how you are never alone because Gaia is a constant in life, and I just felt like what a true companion she is for all of us, and
That's beautiful.
it was just beautifully said, and I feel like that'll stay with me. Because there's so much change that happens in life, and there's so many unknown things, and you're not really sure what you can count on, and with things ever changing, and it just feels like her presence will be a constant that you can count on, and I think that's really beautiful how our garden feels like that too.
Thank you.
I really was moved by on page 13 it was your papered awareness expresses an intonation, and you watch as you become more and more aware of your own expression.
I love that one too.
That was delicious.
Yeah.
It has a presence to it.
It does. It felt like
Right. And
almost like origamic too, like of how as paper folds, it's like you become more aware of your own corrugations, your own expressions.
the more of yourself.
Yeah. And the more you know about it, the more you notice it.
I also really loved the part about completion that brings in the love, compassion, and well-being.
Yeah.
And just talking about how flowers, they know the full cycle of completion, and how they bring not only just beauty, but thinking about how they're bringing forward love, compassion, and well-being. And I adored that. And how like flowers, you brought forward about flowers being in relationship with each other, and thinking about their connections with each other, and in a completely new relationship. And I thought that was a really cool perspective.
Thank
Let's
you.
see, and the more that you include yourself in your day, the greater the effect that you have on all that's near you. I know the three of us have actually brought that forward, and it reminded me of what we're watching for Gaia that you were talking about, referencing with Dr. what's his name? Joe Dispenza.
Mm-hmm.
How, like, when you give away your energy, like, there's more of you everywhere else, and when you bring it back to yourself and you have all the energy come back to you, it's like you have more of yourself. And I'm really intentioning that this week of being aware of how you can expend energy and have parts of you in lots of different places, that where if you actually call it back to yourself, you can actually heal yourself and give yourself the energy, and not feel so drained about that. So I just felt like there was a snippet of that I felt like was connected with this, that helped me take that in deeply. And also just the kind of enjoying yourself, like like self-care. Like, we talk about self-care and it always feels like, oh well, self-care is all these self-care things, but it's like to take care of yourself, to want to be with yourself, to
Enjoy
to volumize yourself and include yourself in the day versus prioritizing everything that needs to get done and all of that, but having it more. I just think that's really cool. That really add a lot of richness to your day when you include yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also connecting with the breath too, like in the present moment. But I just adored the part about talking about ease, where it was ease regains your composure, temperament, attitude, and ability to reframe yourself, and also breath brings ease. Breath always opens portal doors and allows movement to flow beyond judgment, contractions, and conditions to set limitation. That whole thing was just it was just fabulous. It just felt like it was seeds in rich, fertile soil. And
Well, makes you realize how intentional wars are. They make everybody stop breathing.
Yes.
The ones that are alive and the ones that are dead.
God, good point. Oh. Wow.
Right. Wow.
I could go on and on, but I'm really grateful. This brought forward so many wonderful things to bloom more of this week.
I do too.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I
It's
did
been
find
lovely.
one more thing. Sorry, one more.
Wait, you don't have to apologize.
I
This is
know.
what the time is about.
I know, but
I know you have more on your list.
I know. Just
So
one more.
shame on you. I couldn't have you give me another compliment or talk about the
know.
graces.
Well, this one just
of
is
the
so
world.
fabulous. It was one of my favorites. Thread the needle smartly into your coat pocket, and you'll always find the time to whistle a tune pulling the thread.
Yeah.
I knew you would love
that
that one.
was delicious. I just loved it. So I had to.
I'm so glad you
I
said.
couldn't go
but
another
when-
minute without
When I
saying
read it, Robert had written it, and when I read it, I thought, oh, Christina's gonna love that one.
Well, and actually, it reminds me also that when you hum or whistle or do things like that, there's no way you can be separate from your reality, was it? So when you're present, you're present, like you can't be pulled away from anything else. Like you have to be in the present when you're humming or when you're whistling or when you're doing something like that.
And maybe that's the big fear that with all the nervous system problems that people are working with now. And one of the things they tell them to do is whistle or hum. And so maybe, and just talking about You can never be separated with, and so maybe that's what everyone's afraid of.
Yeah.
And the nervous system has become like this vast network that the whole world is becoming very aware of. And people are already feeling what is affected, but they didn't know it was their nervous system. And the big thing is that the nervous system, one of the things that would help it very quickly is humming or singing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're afraid we're going to get lost from ourselves.
Yeah. You can only be present when you're doing those things. You can't. Your thoughts can't drift to. The
So you know
past
you're really
or the
there.
Future. You're right there.
Yes.
And I tried that today.
I did too.
not
I
even-
hummed.
Not even realizing it at first. And then I thought, holy cow. My body it started to hum along with the song. And then I became aware of it's wanting to do this. So then I did it more. And it was just really wild to see how different, like it's like it brought me back in. And it was really cool how different that felt. So
You start having a day with yourself instead of your job.
Well,
it's
yeah,
not-
that
you can
was-
do both, but
that was
to have more
yeah.
of you there instead of it there.
And I listened to like solfeggio, like the frequencies and stuff, and in the car, and it's just like it was just like I'm just in with the frequencies driving around, and it's just like
driving.
yes,
So good.
and it's like your body's just like in alert mode. So I can listen to relaxing meditative music because it's not going to put me to sleep.
Yeah,
Because I'm
'cause
kind
you're
of
already
like
in alert
I'm
mode.
like revved.
yeah.
You know, like having to focus and
Yeah.
and so this
It
is like
balances it.
yeah. So this is like it's a perfect like it meets me right where I need to be. In. Anyway,
That is so good.
okay.
Well, I think that's one of the neatest things about the tempo garden in our swing is that's where I sing and hum. And but since we've turned directions, it's much easier. We've gone facing west. It's much easier, and I don't like to do it very loud because it's me with
with
my
you,
sound,
yeah.
but I really enjoy hearing it. And I found myself this morning swinging early and then yesterday morning real early and just softly humming and singing and I think it's like what you just said. We want to, when we hum and sing, we know we're here. We hear our body, and we reassure ourselves that we're here. Reassure our body that we're here. Somehow, it needs to hear our sound to feel safe.
I wonder if it's like echolocation for feeling home.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
Could
like that
be.
we have to
Yeah.
use a little bit of sound
yeah.
to activate that location of home, and that it's always with you.
Wow.
And maybe humming helps.
Yeah,
Awaken that
helps you
connection
locate
or
yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, it's soothing.
We're just like dolphins.
Yeah.
That's
or
why we're
bats. Dolphins or bats.
That's why we're all about play.
Oh, that's so true. I love that.
Thank you all so
Christina.
much.
Thank you.
Oh,
That
thank
was
you
lovely.
all. It's been a really beautiful few days to work on this. The weather was so
yeah.
great.
The collages
Oh, I-
were exquisite, just seeing all the flowers and
I just have to share
It's
one
so
thing that
wonderful.
just came up that I realized. Again, what the garden gives and the things. I was in the meditation tent today and doing my stretches, and I was in one of the poses where I just lay with this positional thing, and I heard the squirrel that lives here in our garden. And and he was just really busy running across, and all of a sudden I had this awareness, and I was like, oh, squirrel gathering. There's gathering energy happening in the garden right now.
Oh,
And all of a sudden, I had this awareness of how huge my realm awareness has become. Because I thought, how many people in this world, I doubt very many, are aware of the connection of what squirrel means, what squirrels embody, and what the essence of the totem squirrel is about. And I realized how many things I can walk through our garden and be aware of birds, animals, different flowers, and each one has a signature, has an essence that speaks to me, that I actually know it's a signal or it's a information about what's happening in that moment or around me, or a signal for me to know or pay attention to. And I just was in this huge state of gratitude, of just realizing how much I've gathered to myself in my realm awareness, how much my awareness, what's in that realm, and how vast it is. And just in a few years, even how much it's increased and how much it's grown, of things that I'm aware of and able to take in and receive. So I just wanted to share that, because last week we were talking, or past couple of weeks actually, we've talked a lot about what our realm is, what our realm awareness really is, and what it means. And that just kind of came full circle for me today, and I just wanted to share that.
oh, I love that. Thank you. That was really wonderful.
Thank you for
I
sharing.
hadn't even gotten a chance to.
Well,
Another lovely class.
8:30.
8:30. We'll say goodbye, good night,
Oh,
everyone.
Have a pleasant
Until-
tomorrow.
Pleasant tomorrow. Yeah.
yes.
And
Thank
we will
y'all.
see you next Friday, July the something.
5th.
July 5th. Okay. That sounds good.
Sounds wonderful.
Okay. Well, until then, thank you for joining us,
Mm-hmm.
and we will see you next time. Now, I lost somebody. Come on here.